It is General Leia Organa's Saturday mid-morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. This morning, let's play with the latest iteration of Very Easy Meditation. We'll begin with the first of 4 phases of mindful crease counting meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we could advance our thumb in the following manner, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Multiply this by 8 sets and you've got 96. We count those 8 sets on our left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Since this is our first phase, we can keep track of it by resting the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger upon the tip of our left little finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce in the bladder region of our lower abdomen. Come, let us demystify enlightenment. Despite the ravings of elitist patriarchy, enlightenment can be really simple. It can be merely an issue of whether or not we've mastered Gautama's Eightfold Path. What do we mean by mastery? Being able to practice it spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. So here's the wild thing. If all we concern ourselves with is mindfulness and meditation, the remaining 6 folds of this Eightfold Path could take care of themselves. So therefore, let us view mindfulness and meditation through the lens of neuroscience. After approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping, this is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that you would not have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Please chant with me. The nudity of the archetypical couple sporting and tantric union reminds us of the vulnerability so crucial to mindfulness. So let us dispense with some common misconceptions. Sturgeon's Law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks. All of us, all of humanity, since the Neolithic Revolution has been conditioned, or have been conditioned, to be rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. So much so that the majority of humanity will jeer at the minority who try to rebel and instead cultivate being flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. It should therefore come as little surprise that folks are so rigid that when they teach meditation, they implore their students to actively focus and actively analyze. And the only discrete pathways that are capable of producing those neurological behaviors are the ones found in regions such as the medial or dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. Overwork these areas and we trigger our amygdala, the seat of anxiety and aggression, which is the opposite of what we want for meditation. Good news. Neither the prefrontal cortex nor the amygdala constitute the entirety of our central nervous system. Consider, please, mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we automatically access the sympathetic nervous system found in the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to help us to notice in a very special way, to help us notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. But notice what? Notice mind's antics of perception. You know, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like, including emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. That's a whole lot of stuff to do all at the same time, would you not agree? Fortunately, there's a shortcut. Every time we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, we gently persuade our cerebral cortex to cooperate with our sympathetic nervous system. How cool is that? And now, let's be concise. In essence, the key to meditation is to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, that we might so thoroughly release what it is we noticed during our previous inhalation, that what we noticed could fleetingly feel less solid, less permanent, and less defining. What is the first of 4 benefits of regularly practicing mindfulness and meditation? We get a visceral understanding of literal impermanence that supports release. So together, as a team, let us meditate right now. And please, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist philosophy, or Buddhist meditation, please type your question in great detail in the chat window. We come now to the second of 4 phases of mindful crease counting meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we can advance our right thumb in the following manner, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Multiply this by 8 sets and you get 96. We can count those 8 sets on our left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. To keep track of this, our second phase, we can rest the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger upon the tip of our left ring finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce in the navel region of our mid-abdomen. Excuse me. Please chant with me. The translucence of the archetypal good father and mother depicted in paintings. One moment. The translucence of the archetype of all good father and mother depicted in paintings reminds us of meditation's experience of impermanence and non-graspability. Let us review. Excuse me. I'm the mayor of mucus right now. The key to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly noticing mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. But the question remains, what is the neuroscience behind what we do with that which we notice? Because let's face it, we can notice all manner of stuff. We can notice the external or the internal, the physical or the mental. We can notice the pleasurable or the painful, the interesting or the boring, the glorious or the grotesque. How are we going to handle what we notice? This brings us to neuroscience. For every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are already wired to plug into our parasympathetic nervous system, which is divided between the lower third and the upper third of our spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. Now, in the first quarter of this mid-morning's live stream, we explored impermanence, which is a literal experience every time we exhale. Now we're going to explore a figurative experience associated also with our exhalation. So every time we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, not only do we nudge our cerebral cortex into cooperating with our parasympathetic nervous system, but we release that which we noticed during our previous inhalation to the point where that which we noticed could feel fleetingly as non-graspable as a vast, empty void. Now, any good English teacher will remind us that a simile is only as useful as it is relatable. So we must ask the question, what is a real-world example of a non-graspable, vast, empty void? The answer is ridiculously simple. How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although it could be tantalizing to the eye, is most certainly non-graspable to the hand. And so, as I mentioned during the first quarter of this mid-morning's live stream, by playing with mindfulness and meditation every 12 hours or so, we cannot help but notice the figurative emptiness that supports our mental release. This is the second of 4 benefits of playing with mindfulness and meditation. Together, let us meditate right now. And by the way, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, or Buddhist philosophy, please type your question in great detail in the chat window. No, do not wait till the end of the live stream, for by then my brains will be like tapioca. Do us both a favor and strike while the iron is hot. We come now to the third of 4 phases of mindful crease counting meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we could advance our right thumb in the following manner, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Multiply this by 8 sets, and you'll have 96 inhalations. We could count those 8 sets on our left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. To keep track of this, our third phase, we can rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger, upon the tip of our left middle finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce in the heart region of our chest. Please chant with me. The beauty of sky blue archetype Kuntu Zongpo. Let's try this again. The beauty of sky blue I forgot the preposition. Let's see if that fits on the page properly. Ooh, just about. Okay. Okay, take 3. The beauty of the sky blue octave. That did not work. The beauty of the octave sky blue Kuntu Zongpo and cloud white Kuntu Zongmo Yam Yam remind us of the highest love, spontaneous and uncontrived. Quick review. Number 1. By silently and mentally reciting the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, we are neurologically empowered to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. But that's not all. We also notice that of all the things we notice, there are some things we desire more than others and some things we really dread. We also notice that we tend to resist the absence of what we desire, and we tend to resist the presence of what we dread. What are we going to do with this mess? Every time we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, not only do we release what we noticed during our previous inhalation, but we also release our resistance to the absence of our objects of desire. We also release our resistance to the presence of our object of dread. Now, does that make of us a great big doormat? No, and we'll explore that in the final quarter of this live stream. I got ahead of myself. I apologize for that. So I will do my best to rectify that, which sounds deliciously salacious. And I'm going to do this instead. Okay. So, Every time we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, we release what we noticed during our previous inhalation to the point that what we noticed could fleetingly feel less solid, less permanent, and less defining. That's fabulous. Let's look at the third benefit. This is the third benefit of playing with mindfulness and meditation every 12 hours. Benefit number 3, sub A, is that we calm the tyranny of our amygdala's anxiety and aggression. They're still there, but they control us less and less. Additionally, we wind up stimulating our anterior cingulate gyrus, which is represented here by the color fuchsia. Kind of looks like the letter C, doesn't it? This bad boy has evolved to function as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy, the root of compassion and love. So what? So this. 50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path pertains to loving kindness. Kindness of intention, kindness of communication, kindness of conduct, and commerce that is as cooperative as it is kind. You see, remember we talked about the folks who were involved in religious patriarchy and they were super rigid and super controlling? Well, these guys notice that they gotta get cranky after a while, and they really try to reverse that crankiness and become more loving by concentrating on love and thinking about love. But all that produces is an analog of love, pale and flaccid and worthless. However, the highest love is the spontaneous, uncontrived, and effortless byproduct of awareness and release. Come, let's meditate. Please chant with me. The stability with which the archetype sky blue Samantha Mandala sits, and the abandon with which cloud white Samantha Mandri sports, reminds us of the effortless effort of centered spontaneity. Let us review. As we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, we cannot help but vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. But we also notice that there are some things, of all the things we notice, some we desire more than others, and others we desire, we dread more than others. We also cannot help but notice that we live in perpetual resistance to the absence of what we crave, and we live in resistance to the presence of what we dread. However, when we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verbies during our exhalation, not only do we release what we noticed during our previous inhalation, we also release our resistance to the absence of what we desire. And we release our resistance to the presence of our object of dread. Now, this could sound like we're going to be a big old doormat just for people to scrape their boots on. However, the more we practice mindfulness and meditation, the more we can notice our choices and our utterances and our deeds flowing from the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity. No, not the scattered spontaneity. That's kind of like, that good idea that we think we have after our fourth consecutive espresso. Rather, the centered spontaneity that flows directly from our practice of mindfulness and meditation. Let us together practice this mid-morning's final meditation. Just as Obi-Wan Kenobi explained to Luke Skywalker aboard the Millennium Falcon, you have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could help support this channel. And in about 3.25 hours, I would absolutely love to return to today's afternoon meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.